Runnable till the lights go low. Rain, sleet or snow, still moving, still flow. From the fall to the rise, yeah, the mile set me free. This is run, yeah, breathe. Keep running, believe.
Hi everyone, it's Ed from Runnable. I've got a new shoe in the house. It is the Mizuno HyperWarp Elite. So this is my first run review video. This shoe, I took it on several runs. I've done around about 20k in this shoe. So I think I've got a good idea about this shoe in terms of initial feelings. So remember folks, this is my first run review. My thoughts on this could change over time, but if I like a shoe normally at the start, then it only gets better for me. So it's a good indication, I think, of whether this will be a good shoe for you to race in. Watch the run footage and then please watch the full review of the Mizuno HyperWarp Elite. And at the end of the video, there'll be another film quiz question. Listen to the music, guess the film. Sanjay, you were our winner last week. You got the film. Steve, you also got the film correct as well, but Sanjay beat you to it. So let's see if Sanjay can retain his title this week, or will someone else be the Runnable film god of the week. See you later. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Runnable till the lights go low. Rain, sleet or...
Okay, so this is the first run in the Mizuno HyperWarp Elite, and I'm going through this sheet ice here. So I won't be running on this bit, that's for sure. It's starting to melt, you can see it's starting to move a bit. And careful here.
I slipped on my arse here twice.
Jeez.
Last week. Don't worry about that.
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
I know, look how thick it is.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's going to be gone soon though.
Yeah, I dropped on my arse twice last week.
Yeah, well, I can imagine.
Why did you say it's going to be gone soon? Because it's going to fall out.
The weather's changing, isn't it? I think.
I was down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I think.
I dropped twice.
I think the weather is getting warmer, and then on Sunday
melt.
it's getting cold again.
Oh, is it?
But so this will melt.
And then
Maybe there'll be a park run this weekend, perhaps, if that all goes.
If it is like.
Yeah. But anyway, you look after yourself, right?
And you, mate.
Yeah. Sorry. Be careful. Yeah. Lots of ice. Anyway, thank you, mate. So that wouldn't be a good test for these shoes, to be fair. I wouldn't be so cruel as to test them on that kind of surface. So anyway, the HyperWarp Elites from Mizuno. First impressions. So the feel and the fit, I went 9.5. I'm somewhere between 9 and 9.5. I think I could probably have gone 9 in these. Don't think there's any need to size up unless you like the extra room. I always go up a half a size if I'm potentially going to be considering a shoe for a marathon distance or even half marathon, to allow my foot expansion. It's something I've always kind of done since I made the mistakes. I think initially in the Primex Strong originals, I wanted to take the Boston Marathon, and I went size 9 in those, and by the end of that race my foot was a real mess. Too much rubbing on my toes, knuckles, skin around the knuckles were getting worn away. So always allow a little bit more room now since then. So for shoes I'm just going to use for 5, 10Ks not so important. It's probably better they're dialed in actually. But for this, the HyperWarp Elite, you know, could potentially come in to my, you know, reckoning for a full marathon. So that has to be consideration. So what do I feel? First impression, so fit is nice, like I said, true to size. Upper's good, fits nicely around my foot. Got quite a wide foot, but seems to be fine for that. I think they're decent for people with wide-ish feet. Generally not noticing any rubbing or any discomfort in the upper. Obviously I need to take this on a lot longer run than this to know for sure, but normally early on you can tell you're going to have problems with toe, heel rubbing, that kind of thing. Lockdown's fine. I haven't got a runner's loop. Perhaps will put one in this shoe, but it's good enough. It's not the best. I don't know like you, but I've got this odd quirk that my right ankle, probably because of the accident, is kind of less volume, has less volume than the left ankle, which is a bit bigger. So the shoes always feel on my left foot like I get a better lockdown. So I almost feel like sometimes on my right foot I should do a runner's loop, and on the other foot maybe just leave it alone. Anyway, that's the upper. In terms of the outsole, it's quite wet and kind of slippy ground, as we saw with the ice a minute ago. This outsole's good, really nice and grippy, very tacky. I think you get that with a lot of Mizuno race shoes like the Wave Rebellion. It's a really nice outsole. It's not fully across the base of the shoe like with those, but it covers all the key areas, so that's good as well. Right, let's talk about some of the key midsole feelings I'm having. So it has a nice rocker, nothing too extreme, probably more edge than sky, but I still think the perfect rocker was the Edge Paris for me. That seemed just ideal for really going for it. This feels okay, but nothing too extreme. In terms of the foam, it's firm, it's bouncy-ish, not incredibly so, but I think this is going to require a braking period, this shoe, and once I've broken the foam a bit, I'm going to engage the plate more, which is another question I'm having at the moment. I don't feel like I'm engaging the plate loads at the moment. And when I listened to the other reviews, they said it was really aggressive and they could feel the plate. Well, I'm not feeling the plate. So any of you guys who are kind of my weight, 63, 64, maybe a little bit more kg, don't expect to feel the plate like you might do the sky. And I think it's probably because the plate is still slightly lower in this shoe, it's slightly more curved, and it's also firmer foam, so it takes a bit more to start getting the response from that plate. I'm sure I'll break these in and that will happen, but don't expect the same kind of response from the plate as you get in, say, the Sky Tokyo, the Sky Paris. I'm not getting that, it's not that obvious to me. Okay, now let's speed things up a bit. See how it reacts to some pure speed. So hitting the 4-minute km mark here, which is fast enough for me at the moment, and it's responding well. I think geometry's good. I'm not getting the amazing snap again like some of the other reviewers have been saying in this shoe. To me, this feels a little bit more edge Tokyo than Sky Tokyo. So Stephen, you might really like this shoe. For me, I'm gonna have to use this solidly, I should say, this week to break this foam down. See if I can start engaging this shoe a bit. Maybe try and use it for a race or so, and we'll see where we get to with it. But definitely passable first run. Lots of good things to like. Feels very light, very good grip, nice upper. Does respond to when I'm going fast, just not getting that snap from the plate I was kind of expecting. And also at the moment I'm not feeling like I'm really compressing that foam and getting that really good decompression. I'm sitting above the foam at the moment, which makes me think that will come when I break down the foam. Okay, now we're going uphill. Let's go up this hill. Feels fine going uphill, as you'd expect, around the 160 gram mark. I haven't weighed it. It should be somewhere around there. Super light. So in summary, it's a positive start. Nothing too exceptional, but I would say positive. It's a really good entry, I think, by Mizuno into this market where they want to produce something that's not quite as crazy as the Wave Rebellion, but still lightning fast and light, with a decent rocker. I still kind of feel like maybe the Wave Rebellion 1 would be quicker than this for certain people, but we will find out when we do a race in it. That's all for me. See you later. Bye bye. Okay, so I'm now at Green Park on my way to Chelsea, and I've got, again, on my feet the I was going to say Wave Rebellion, but it's not, is it? Mizuno HyperWarp Elite. So the first ever iteration of the Elite shoe in this HyperWarp series. So I wonder where Mizuno's going to take this. So I've already ran a bit around my local park, and now I'm doing, oops, I was going to just say I'm doing some extra bit for this first run review, but I haven't started my watch. Give me a sec. Have a look around Green Park while you wait. Okay, here we go. So I'm terrible at starting my watch, really am. So anyway, one of my New Year's resolutions, be a bit smarter with the smartwatch. Anyway, so my first impressions earlier were that I'm not totally engaging the plate yet, that the foam is quite firm. It's got a nice rocker, nothing like ridiculously extreme. It's not like Cielo kind of rocker which forces your toes in that unnatural position, or the Endorphin Elite original. It's not like that, but it's still more rockered than something like the Sky Tokyo, for instance. So those that found that maybe slightly too flat, they might like the feeling of this shoe. I have to say, my first impressions of the foam, this XP Energy XP foam, is that it's not quite as lively as the foam that's in the Sky or Edge Tokyo, particularly the Sky. I got more out of the Sky this year than the Edge, and but if I had to describe this shoe, there's a memorial there for the RAF. If to describe this shoe, it's more akin to the Edge than it is to the Sky. I think it's got a slightly higher plate configuration than the Edge, but I'm getting some very similar vibes of this shoe than I had with the Edge Tokyo. I always have to wait at this place. So if you like the Edge, like you, Stephen, I think you're going to like this shoe. It's very reminiscent, obviously even lighter, which is a plus. A smidgen cheaper, not a load cheaper. I don't know what it's like in the subcontinent, but here in UK it's a very similar price. I think it's 230 something, whereas the Edge Turkey is 240, so they're kind of in line really. So I mean, that is a talking point, whereas Mizuno's always, I felt like, good good quality but also good price, so you're getting a lot for your money. I think with these HyperWarp series they've done away with that, and they've decided to pitch these as a premium offering, so you're paying more. I've got mixed feelings about that. Yes, I think they should definitely receive more for a higher quality shoe. It's not a doubt, right? But a particular shoe that's going to be used by more people, this one. But I do think it's a shame, because one of the kind of points of buying a Mizuno product over an ASICS product in the past would have been, well, it's cheaper and there's not that much difference. And now it's not cheaper anymore. If it is, it's marginally cheaper. Marginally cheaper, right? So there's no longer the real value for money factor with Mizuno with this HyperWarp series, which is again, I think it's a shame. But anyway, I know what they're doing. They're probably thinking, if we make our products cheap, then people will think they're cheap. It's just a shame that's the way society works at the moment. I think firstly it might be coming across lukewarm this first run. I do think these are good shoes. I just feel, and here's the problem, you're weighing them up against the Sky and Edge, also against other shoes out there now, like the Ray, like the Puma Fastar Nitro Elite 3. They've got a lot got to do a lot to compete with those shoes, and it comes really down to the foam. And my first impressions are that this foam is not quite up to the level of those shoes. I mean, you hope Mizuno will get there, but for me, that's what it feels like. Rather than a ping and a nice responsive bounce, I'm getting a little bit of a thud when I land in this shoe. I mean, I roll very quickly through my stride, which is good. It's encouraging, nice quick cadence, which is also good. And it's obviously mega light, but I'm not getting that wow factor from the foam that I do get with the ASIC shoes, and in a different way that I get from the Puma Fastar Nitro Elite 3. The wow factor I get from that shoe is when I look at my watch and realise how fast I'm going, and then I kind of feel, what the hell? So, not quite getting that feeling here. I'm looking at my watch, it says 4 minutes 30 pace. With all this zigzagging and stopping I'm having to do, it's probably reasonably quick, but I really need to take this for a race, really, to give it a proper race review, and that will tell me a bit more than this first run review. The first impressions do count, as they say, when you're dating. And if I was dating this shoe, it would be definitely second date, but still got a few questions for this shoe that need answering. And one of the main questions is this foam going to break in a bit? And am I going to start feeling the plate a bit more? And I sincerely hope that is the case, but we may not get to a third date with this shoe. So that's kind of a summary of where I am with it. Very early days, but I like it a lot, but it's not giving me exceptional vibes like I got with the Sky Tokyo this year, which for me still sits a level above this shoe in first impressions, and obviously is not much more expensive. So I'm kind of struggling to think why you would buy this shoe compared to that one. Maybe if you wanted something that's even lighter, maybe if you like the look of it. I think I prefer the Sky. Not a big fan of this blue and white colourway, I'm being honest. The prototype looked better. Obviously I didn't get hold of that, but definitely looked better. And so my initial thoughts on the Mizuno HyperWarp Elite. I think it's a very interesting shoe. I think it's one that I will have to take on a 5k park run or something like that when the weather gets a bit better, and I have to figure out whether it's excuse me, whether it's actually a realistic competitor to the ASICS shoe. And I keep mentioning ASICS because that's really what Mizuno have done. They've looked at ASICS and they've said, right, let's create the Elite, which is kind of a midway house between the Sky and the Edge. And then they've produced the Pure, which is a Ray equivalent with all the best of this XP foam, all in one. Midsole with a different plate, and then the Pro, okay, it's not really like any of those, but it's probably the closest thing to those who like the Wave Rebellion series. I don't know whether Wave Rebellions will ever see the light of day again. I'm not sure what the plans are for that. Probably not, but we'll see. It's a shame because I really like those shoes, the crazy nature of them, but I have a feeling we may not see those again. So that's all for now, folks. See you soon. Bye bye. Love you all. Okay, so I'm here again in the Mizuno HyperWarp Elite. Horrible day, horrible day in North London. Raining, cold, windy, everything you don't want when you go running. But I'm eager to get this first run review out to let you know everything about this shoe. And in the space of 3 runs, around about 50, somewhere between 15 and 20k, my opinion of this shoe is changing in a few ways. In some ways good, some ways not so good. I wanted to do this first run review justice. I was once accused, not in a nasty, particularly nasty way, but I was accused of just doing my first run reviews by going down to the local park and running a couple of K and then reviewing a shoe, which is not actually true at all. And that was from another shoe tuber, one that's well respected and comes across as a really nice guy. So I was a little bit sad about that, I suppose. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm always perpetually training for marathons. I have to do a lot of mileage. I don't always share everything I do on Strava. All the major stuff I do. Actually, for this marathon block, which I'm going to start on Monday, I will be sharing all my runs on Strava, no matter how boring that is. But the point being, I think I've done 8 marathons in 3 years. So do your maths, mate. I run a lot. I also race a lot, far more than this shoe tuber ever races. So I think I'm a wee bit more qualified to do shoe reviews on racing shoes than he is. So yeah, there's a clue, it's a male. But also, I feel like I'm one of the few shoe reviewers who can be claimed to be completely unbiased, because I don't get any of the shoes sent to me. So, you know, that again is something, you know, that I could have easily turned around and pointed at this guy, you know, come back at his comments, but I didn't, because I'm not about confrontation. I just want to do my own thing. happy to just review and help you guys as much as I can. I don't really care what other people think, particularly other YouTubers who often get sent shoes, right? So that's all I'll say on that one. No names, no nothing. I'm just gonna explain that I always do decent distance for my first run reviews, and I always record the runs, which again this other YouTuber doesn't. So, but get your chip off your shoulder, Ed, and continue with the review. So, how has this changed my feelings on the shoe? So, the main thing that's changed, two things. I have started to engage the plate a bit more, so the foam is breaking down a little bit. I noticed to get the most out of it, I really do have to put a lot of force down. So I'm noticing the plate a lot more when I'm going down hills. But even so, the foam is breaking in a bit. So there is a break-in period with this shoe. It does get a bit softer, and you know, once you get over that initial hump, it feels a bit less firm, a little bit less rigid, and a little bit more responsive in terms of engaging the plate. Okay, the other thing is I've completely changed my tune on which shoe this is like. Feels like the geometry is actually a bit more like the Sky, and the plate configuration is lower than the Sky, so that's a little bit more like the Edge. It's a bit more scooped than the flatter plate on the Sky. So rather than being what I wanted, which was a higher plate like the Sky, but a more early stage rocker like the Edge, what I've actually got is a geometry more like the Sky, a later rocker, and slightly higher than the Edge plate configuration, but still not as high as the Sky. So you can't always get what you want in life. That's the motto. But here's another good motto: every step counts. See you later. Right, so I'm going to do a quick 1k, around about 1k, in the HyperWarp Elites, see how it goes in terms of pace and everything. So I'll count me in. Oops, wait a sec. Series, right. 3, 2, 1, let's go! So, definitely springy. They're still quite firm, but you do, once you get up on the tiptoes, they feel a lot better. You know, the foam is good, that's for sure. It's just whether it's as good as A6, Metaspeed, that kind of thing. We'll have to find out. Bear in mind as well, I had a bad chest infection, so I'm not expecting this to be the fastest 1k I've ever done, that's for sure. It's just good for me to push myself a little bit with these races coming up. It's very windy as well. Feeling like headwind now. But they do feel quick and responsive. Again, don't feel the rocker as much as the Edge or the plate as much as the Sky. Very much in between those two shoes. I shot for it. phone's restarted. But hopefully it's captured most of that run. If it hasn't, it hasn't. Strava, but yeah, it feels pretty good going fast. I'm a bit out of shape, I have to say. So I was blowing a bit just in that 1k, but it's to be expected. No fast running for quite a while because of the chest infection, so I wasn't really expecting anything ridiculous, but we'll see. Hopefully it's captured something on Strava, and we'll have a look. But from my thoughts, it is a fast shoe. Definitely wants you up on your tiptoes. Definitely wants you to engage that late rocker, and I'm just not sure that it's the one for me to take a marathon distance, because of there's no, you know, as your foot starts to drift back in a marathon, I'm not going to get the assistance from that early stage rocker. Seems like a good shoe for 5-10Ks where I don't really need that. I can stay on my tiptoes, and that is the big difference with the Puma Fast R. I think in particular that shoe's just good at any distance. 5k you've got a rocker, but you've also got that plate configuration, get that nice snapback from the plate, and then longer distance you've got the geometry that starts earlier, the rocker, that just keeps you ticking over, particularly as you start to fail in the marathon. It just keeps you rolling forward, and that's why, in my opinion, as a marathon shoe, it's kind of unrivaled, and for me as well, for a 5k shoe, it can't be beaten at the moment. It has all bases covered, which is why it's clearly for me the best super racing shoe out there by some distance now. I think it's close, second place still between the Sky Tokyo and the Cielo X1 2.0, and this shoe, you know, somewhere around that. I need to run in a bit more, need to race a bit, but it's not a million miles away, folks. Problem is, as I said before, it's also not a million miles away in price. So what you're going to do, if it becomes available, you're going to buy the Puma Fast R, and probably you would purchase the Sky or Edge Tokyo before this, and at 149 I would definitely purchase the Cielo X1 2.0. That's all, folks. Hope you like my first run review of the Mizuno HyperWarp Elite. Check a look at the foliage, take a look even of the foliage. I need to get chopping, Ed. You need to get chopping. And look what we got here. Got my old Christmas tree chopped down. Bye bye Christmas. Hello New Year. Let's have it.
Runnable till the lights go low. Rain, sleet or snow, still moving, still flow. From the fall to the rise, yeah, the mouth set me free. This is run, yeah, breathe, keep running.
Okay, so let's go through some key stats around the Mizuno HyperWarp Elite. So we have a stack height of 38.5 millimeters in the heel, 34.5 in the forefoot, giving a 3.5 millimeter drop, so very low drop, which actually I quite like. It means that you get a lot for someone like me who lands in the forefoot. By the way, I'm 5'9", about 64 kg. I land around about here on the lateral side of the forefoot. So for me, having a lot of stack in this area is really good. I don't need it so much in the heel. I know that a lot of you are heel strikers, so you prefer the cushioning there. For me, it's more important here, particularly for a speed shoe like this, where you're going to be up on your tiptoes a lot. You know, it's very important to have that cushioning where you need it in the forefoot. So good job, Mizuno, 3.5 millimeter drop. I wish more brands would actually take note and do something like that. I know Asics is pretty low drop, around about 5 millimeters for their Metaspeeds. So, but if more brands could do that. I'm not a fan of the 8 millimeter drop, I have to say, even though the Puma Fastall Nitro Elite 3 is such an amazing shoe, that does have an 8 millimeter drop. It somehow works. But for me, the more cushioning we can get here, the better, particularly for a shoe that's meant to be for speedy runs. So they're the key stats. Should mention the weight. It's a very competitive 190 grams. It's not, sorry, it's not as light as the two Metaspeeds. So weirdly, this time the Metaspeed Edge was a lot lighter than the Metaspeed Sky Tokyo. So the Edge was 160 for me. The Sky was 180 for me, both size 9. I went up half a size in the HyperWarp Elite, just because generally with Mizuno shoes I have to do that. I think you could probably get away with true to size in this shoe, to be honest. The fit, I got quite a lot of space by the toes, so I think true to size would probably work for most people. But saying that, it comes in at 190, so a good 30 grams more than the Metaspeed Edge Tokyo, and a good 10 grams more than the Sky Tokyo. So not quite as light as those, but very competitive. It's about similar weight actually to the Puma Fastall Nitro Elite 3, around 190 grams. So that's the weight.
Runnable till the lights go low. Rain, sleet, or
Let's go through the upper. So we've got a really nice lightweight translucent upper. You can see my fingers through it. It's actually quite broad, the forefoot, so it's actually wider than you get with the Metaspeeds. So those with wide feet, you'll actually like this upper. You get enough volume as well. It's not the most volume in any shoe, but you get enough. So those with fat feet, fat toes like me, can have enough room, A, to splay your toes a little bit with width, and B, so there's not kind of rubbing at the top of your foot. So the upper's good in that respect. You've got the nice ridge laces. A lot of this is very similar to the Metaspeeds. I think they've really, I wouldn't say copied, but they've used that to influence this shoe. But the ridge laces and the tongue are almost identical to what you get in the Metaspeeds. You can see the laces and the tongue there, very similar. That's fine. The tongue's nothing to write home about. Laces are really good. Lockdown is good in this shoe. I did do a runner's loop. I found it was, I got an even better lockdown with that, but it's still pretty good. In terms of the heel collar, you've got enough padding here. Again, a bit more than you've got with the Metaspeed Tokyos, similar to the Sky Paris. So they had a bit more padding like this, like the HyperWarp, and you've got a very flexible heel counter, which is how I actually quite like it. I don't really like things rubbing the heel and Achilles, so the more flexible, the better for me. Not a load of structure to the upper in terms of stability features. There's no real sidewalls. You've got a little bit here of this firmer material to keep your ankle in place. And at the toe cap, you've got some protection for your toes in case you hit a rock or something. I really like the upper. I think it's, you know, it's a 4.5 out of 5, 5 out of 5 upper. It's hard to say it's any worse than the Metaspeeds, and I really like this upper as well. So I think maybe I'll give this a 5 just because it's wider and it'll fit more people. So 5 out of 5 for the upper. For the HyperWarp Elite,
runnable till the lights go low. Rain, sleet, or
in terms of the outsole, I'm going to say it straight away, 5 out of 5. I love how tacky this is. The grip in this is better than both ASIC shoes. It's a better, grippier rubber than in the Metaspeed. It really does grip. It's kind of tacky. You can feel it, can hear it there. And it really does grip the surface really well. And I've been over some really icy floor with this on it. It's done an amazing job. You have a lot of exposed foam, and in the heel area you don't get much coverage, but on the forefoot, if you're landing here, the grip is superb. So for me, 5 out of 5 for a super racing shoe. I think this is one of the best grips going. It's up there with the light traction, and it's definitely up there with the Puma grip, a top tier racing grips on the market. Well done, Mizuno. I think it's actually better than the Wave Rebellion grip, even though that covered the full outsole. That was a little bit almost too tacky, and it gripped the floor too much. This is really perfect. It gets good traction, but it doesn't stop you rolling through your stride like that more tacky grip sometimes did. So 5 out of 5 for the outsole.
Runnable till the lights go low. Rain, sleet, or snow.
Midsole now. So this is where it gets interesting, and this is where I think it's good to draw comparisons from the Sky Tokyo and the Edge Tokyo. So in terms of the actual foam itself, you've got this amazing dual density foam. So the top layer is the premium PEBA foam, Mizuno Energy XP, this nitrogen infused PEBA foam. This is really nice and soft. This is the area above the plate. You get quite a lot of this foam just underneath your forefoot, this blue area here. And then underneath we have this TPEE, this slightly firmer foam that adds to the structure and to the stability of this shoe. Sandwiched in between is a smooth speed plate. And you can see here, you've got a wing here that you can see on this side. On the medial side, you can see a wing to give you that support. For those that pronate, particularly, you're going to have that extra support there. The geometry of this shoe, though, I find very interesting. So I was led to believe by some of the reviews that this was more like the Edge, Metaspeed Edge Tokyo, and had an early stage rocker. So if we compare the shoes with the Edge for a minute, I think you can just about see there that the Edge has definitely got an earlier stage rocker than the Elite, than the HyperWarp Elite. And I feel like it's a little bit more similar to the Sky. It's maybe got a slightly earlier rocker than the Sky, but their geometry, I think, slightly similar. So you get that flatter feel in this shoe, the Elite, than you would, say, in the Edge Tokyo. And that's important because what you've also got here is a higher plate configuration than you've got in the Edge. So the Edge is lower, but an earlier stage rocker. This has got a later stage rocker, but with a more higher, more aggressively placed plate. Now, I think that's important for many reasons, because when I was led to believe that this was going to be a bit like the Edge Tokyo, but with a higher plate, which would have been perfect for me, because the problem I have with this shoe, the Edge, is I don't feel like I engage the plate at all. You can see how low it scoops down there. And I thought if this had the same rocker as the Edge, but had this higher plate configuration than you've got with this low configuration with the Edge, I'd be almost in dreamland in terms of this shoe. But no, alas, the actual geometry is more like the Sky, and it's got a lower plate configuration than the Sky. So in some ways I lose out in both respects. I wanted a higher plate, which this is slightly higher, but lower than the Sky, higher than the Edge. But I don't have that really early stage rocker that the Edge has got. And why is this important? Why do I keep talking about this? Well, because if I want to use this as a marathon shoe, when I slow down and I start to drift back, I want the benefit of that early stage rocker, like I would get if I use the Edge Paris over a marathon distance, like I would get when I use the Fastar Nitro Elite marathon distance. If you can see here, look at the difference in the rockers there. This is much earlier stage. And it really, what this means is late stages of the marathon, when I'm really tiring, I still get the benefit of that roll through, which I'm not getting so much in this shoe. I feel it when I'm really going for it. So if you watch the run footage, you'll see a point where I'm trying to do like a kilometer run. Well, I did do a kilometre run around my local park, and I was roughly going around 3:30 minute km pace, which is pretty good considering I've been ill recently. And this shoe actually performed really well, and the midsole really performed well. It really does perform better at those faster paces. At the slower paces, the foam almost feels a bit too firm. You do not feel the plate whatsoever. But as soon as you put your foot down and really hammer it, I started to engage the plate a lot more and got a lot more pop from this shoe, and I started to roll forward a lot more in this shoe because I was engaging this later stage rocker. So really what I'm saying is this midsole is designed for going fast, not necessarily designed for later on in a marathon when you're really tired and you're down back here somewhere and you want to continue to have that roll through. It's not going to give you that so much as you'd get with the Puma Fast Style Natural Elite 3, or like you might get with the Edge. It's going to be something similar to the Paris, although you don't get the nice pop so much from the higher configurated plate that you get in the Sky Tokyo, not Paris, because this plate is lower, so you're going to get less assistance from the plate. So I think in some ways I'm a little bit disappointed with Mizuno here in a number of things, and we'll go through the other categories in more detail. But what I've ended up with the Elite, I thought I was going to end up with the best of both worlds, but what I've ended up with really is the geometry of the Sky, but with a lower plate. Whereas what I actually wanted was the geometry of the Edge with a higher plate. And that's what I was led to believe by a lot of the reviews. And that isn't the case, folks. So like Stephen, for instance, I know you like the Edge. If you're looking for a shoe to give you what the Edge Tokyo gives you, this won't be it, right? Because it's got less of a rocker, early stage rocker than the Edge, and it's got a slightly high configurated plate. So for you, you're going to lose the things that you like about the Edge in this shoe. And for those of you that like the Sky like me, but you wanted more of an assistance from the rocker, because the Sky could feel a bit flat, but you get that nice ping. What you end up with this shoe is you get slightly earlier rocker, but not much, very similar to the Sky, but a lower plate, which means lighter runners like me, I don't gauge it as much, anywhere near as much as I gauge it. This is right shoe, as I engage it in the Sky. Hopefully you understood all that. It's very complicated, but the easiest way to view it is this shoe is bang in the middle of these two, right? And interestingly, the price now is also similar sort of price to these two. So it leads me to start questioning why I would buy the Mizuno shoe now over the Metaspeeds. But we'll talk a bit more about that when we talk about value for money and other categories. But I hope you understand. So to summarize, what you've got here is a really nice dual density midsole. You've got the PEBA, the softer PEBA, nitrogen infused PEBA at the top, above the plate. Below the plate, you've got the slightly firmer, more structured TPEE, giving you that nice bouncy but stable ride. You've got a kind of mid-level plate, so it's higher than the Edge, but lower than the Sky. It's more curved than the Sky. Sky's got a flatter plate, which means that I engage this plate slightly less than I do the Sky, but slightly more than I do the Edge, which for some people it may work. For me, though, I wanted it the other way around. I wanted an earlier stage rocker like the Edge in this shoe, and I wanted a higher plate like the Sky. So I didn't get that. But anyway, point being, it's still a good midsole. I still think it's about 4.5 out of 5. If these are 5, F Leap, aliphatic TPU, I think it's better than the PEBA in this shoe. I think this is a 4.5 out of 5.
Runnable till the lights go low. Rain, sleet, or snow.
Stability wise, I think it may be slightly more stable than these shoes, because I think you're getting more, well, you are getting more width across the whole of this shoe, particularly in the forefoot. Like with the Metaspeed, you get very little assistance, stability assistance in the upper itself. You're looking for what you can get in the midsole and in the outsole, and what you have is a wider base. So I think slightly more stable. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's not up there with the most stable super shoes. So if you need stability, probably not the one for you, but it is a little bit wider than the Metaspeeds for those that found them too narrow.
Runnable till the lights go low. Rain, sleet, or snow.
Durability, I can't tell you yet. I've only run 20k. What I will say is though, these areas, the areas that are covered by this rubber, this is going to be really hard wearing, very tacky rubber. So I suspect for those of you that land in the forefoot, it's going to wear quite well. Those that land in the midfoot, you may have some issues with the exposed foam. And those that land in the heel, it should be okay, because again, this is quite hard wearing rubber.
Runnable till the lights go low. Rain, sleet, or snow.
Speed. So I did that kilometer run. My watch was playing havoc with me again, but it did record a run. I'll show it you on the screen now. And that was at 330 kilometer pace, although it cut off before the end of that kilometer. So that's pretty fast, considering I'm not feeling that well at the moment. And also I'm not in a race condition. And also it's the first time I've run in this shoe. So I thought actually it reacted quite well for when I was going fast. And that's the thing to note about this shoe. The more force you put down through the shoe, the better it reacts. At slow places, it's not very nice, to be honest. It's quite firm. At faster places, it comes to life, and I start engaging the plate a lot more, and I feel what the shoe is all about at those faster paces. So that kind of makes sense, right? But it's not until you do that that it feels really good. So I was fine with the Sky. This actually feels great at any pace for me. I can go slow, fast, medium pace in this, and it feels lovely. The foam's amazing, and the plate gives me a nice ping. That's not the case with this shoe. You really get the best out of it by motoring and putting force down. I think this is going to be much better for those who are bounders than cadence runners. You don't get this insistence so much of the rocker. For you shufflers, I call you, this for me is definitely for those that want to lengthen their stride and land with a lot of force. I talked about in the last video pacers and punchers. I think this is a puncher. I feel like this is a shoe that you really hammer it and you get the best out of it, and it jolts you forward. I think it's less about the rocker in this shoe, and it's less about getting a cruising consistent pace. But it is a fast shoe, so I would mark it 4.5 out of 5 for speed.
Runnable till the lights go low. Rain, sleet, or snow.
Value for money. So I don't feel like it's as value for money as previous Mizuno shoes, like the Wave Rebellions, which I really loved because they were so crazy. They were always down at the kind of like 200 mark. This is now £234. So it's in the same ballpark as the ASIC shoes, which I think means that it has a problem, this HyperWarp Elite. It's now firmly in the competition with the Metaspeeds and with the Fastar Nitro Elite 3s and with the Adidas Pro 4s. In fact, it's more expensive than the Adidas Pro 4. It's way more expensive than the Hoka Cielo X1 2.0, which is £140, $149 in many places. So that to me gives the Mizuno product a problem. You know, it's now in with the competition, it's in with the sharks, and that makes me think it's less value for money than it used to be. I would give this probably a 3 out of 5 for value for money now. I feel like for me, it's not quite up there with the Metaspeeds. I think you're getting that kind of feeling at the moment. I think maybe at over 5k, it can jostle with them, but as soon as you start going 10k, half marathon, etc., I think I would much prefer to put either of the Metaspeeds on my feet, and I definitely would rather have the Puma Fastar. So that's value for money. I think it's about a 3 out of 5.
Runnable till the lights go low. Rain, sleet, or snow.
In terms of what it's good for, I think I'm going to use this predominantly for 5Ks and 10Ks. I don't feel I get the rocker assistance for half marathon distance with this shoe. I would prefer to use the Puma Fastar Nitro Elite 3 for those. I would probably prefer to use either of the Metaspeeds for half marathon. And I think this one might be better for me at 5k 10K. So if you're predominantly going to be running park runs or 5Ks, this could be a shoe for you, particularly if you're a heavier guy than me and you can engage that plate a little bit more than I do, and you don't mind that later stage rocker, that more of a flatter feel. If you like the Sky Tokyo, but you found that plate a bit too high, a bit too in your face, then this could actually be the perfect shoe for you. So that's what it's good for, I think, for me, 5Ks, possibly 10Ks, but I'll leave the half marathon marathons for my favorite shoes, which is the Puma Fastar Natural Elite 3 or the Hoka Cielo X1 2.0. Those two, and even the Adidas Pro 4 with that early stage rocker, I think would be my preference at those longer distances.
Runnable till the lights go low, rain, sleet or snow.
So in summary, what do I think about this shoe? So I think this is a really good shoe in its own bubble. This is a really good shoe. I think it's great for going at those quick paces, not so good when you're going slow. You feel the firmness of the foam then, the rigidness of the plate. But as soon as you put force down, as soon as you let your legs go, this comes to life. I love the upper. I love the outsole. Outsole is a real plus. I do like the configuration. I like the fact it's higher than the edge. I just wish the rocker was slightly earlier, and then I could consider these for longer races. And that is my problem, really. I don't see where this fits in my rotation compared to the two Metaspeeds. It's somewhere in the middle, but for shorter distances, I would prefer to use the Sky. And for longer distances, I think I'd probably prefer to use the Edge. And I definitely would rather use the Puma Fastar Natural Elite 3 at longer distances. And this Mizuno product no longer represents amazing value for money compared to those three. So that's my issue with this shoe. Should you buy it? I think if you like the Sky Tokyo, but you found the plate a bit too in your face, a bit too high up, you want it a bit more scooped, lower down, then yes, I think this is a good purchase. It's the first Mizuno racing shoe, along with the Pure, that I think has really entered the space of these shoes. The problem is with the Wave Rebellion Pro Series, they had their own unique kind of niche. This is just one of many shoes on the marketplace. It's so similar to the Metaspeeds that it is in direct competition with them. And I think at the moment, I can't really say for you to buy the HyperWarp compared to those two. I think those two, with only being, £5 more, I think have got a better foam with that aliphatic TPU. I get more response out of those shoes, particularly the Sky Tokyo. And I think I would much rather use the Sky Tokyo for 5K than this shoe. And I would rather use the Edge for half marathons. So that's my summary. A really good effort by Mizuno. Really like the shoe. But if you already own those Metaspeeds, or you've got your eye on the Puma Fastar Natural Elite 3, I'm not sure why you would go for this shoe. That's my honest opinion. It's a great shoe, but it's right in with the sharks, and at the moment it's getting nibbled. And that's the end of my review. Stand by for the film quiz, listen to the song, find which film it is, and then put that in the comments. And then also in the comments, any more questions on this shoe, something that I've missed, some other things you want to know about it, put it in the comments. And that's all, folks. Love you all. See you soon. Bye-bye.
You're so cool, you're so cool, you're so cool. Mirror talk, confidence, breaking every rule. Vendetta kind of mood, shadows in the room. White boy day, headlines singing doom. Better to have a gun and not need it than to need a gun and not have it. That's the whisper in the static. Late nights get dramatic, city breathing panic, hearts wrapped in plastic. I don't glorify the chaos, just narrate what's graphic. I'm the Antichrist, scribbled in the margins, misread by the masses, stitched up in the jargon. Vendetta kind of mood, but the war's all internal. Smile for the camera while the truth stays infernal. You're so cool, you're so cool. Say it till it sticks. Confidence cracked, but it's holding with tricks. White in the mix. Saints play villains, villains quote in the script.